What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we continue our discussion of UFC 263, this time talking about the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori 2. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick, we are one day closer, one day away from UFC 263, and we have a lot to get to, but Adesanya-Vettori 2, this is the main event. This is basically what we've all been waiting for, an incredible card that has been put together by Dana White in the UFC. They've done an absolutely spectacular job, so let's give them a hand there for that. But I want to take a minute and talk about this fight because Israel Adesanya, Marvin Vettori, this is nothing short of spectacular. This is nothing short of fireworks as we've seen so far leading up to this fight. Tell us what happened in the first fight and tell us what you expect to see happen in the second fight.
Yeah, so taking a step back in time, back to 2018, before Adesanya became the champion, we had Marvin Vettori versus Israel Adesanya. And in the first matchup, Marvin Vettori, at the age of 24, tried to step into Adesanya's realm and stand up and do some kickboxing, some Muay Thai with him, and realized early that Adesanya is much better than him on their feet, and he's better off taking him to the ground. He didn't learn that lesson until the third round, where he was able to score 2 takedowns, and that was able to win him that round, but it just wasn't enough to win him the fight. It ended up being a split decision. It was a close fight, but Adesanya definitely won that fight. This time, it's a 5-round fight, and it's for the belt. Vettori has learned his lessons. He knows exactly how to fight against Adesanya. Adesanya has grown as a fighter as well. He has successfully defended his belt, and he's also moved up to try to fight Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight championship. He may have been unsuccessful, but he learned a lot in that fight, and it also opened some eyes into whether Adesanya can handle the ground game, where Vettori has a little bit of experience in that realm. We saw our Marvin Vettori earlier this year handle Kevin Holland very well in the ground, where Marvin Vettori scored a ton of takedowns in that fight, setting records left and right. He was really putting his skills to use, and I think it's going to be very similar for Israel Adesanya. I think that we saw the weaknesses that Israel Adesanya has once he's on the ground. He looks lost. It's very hard to get him on the ground, but once he's there, it's going to be pretty hard for him to get back up. To me, Marvin Vettori looks like a smaller Jan Blachowicz, a very similar skill set. I think that he's going to look to do a lot of the same what Jan did, try to take him down, try to keep him there, and just collect points. To me, Marvin Vettori, it does not stand a chance against Adesanya on the feet. We learned that in the first fight. I hope he learned that lesson as well and doesn't try to test the waters there. He should look for takedowns as much as possible, try to accumulate points, and win this by decision. That's the safest and easiest way of beating Israel Adesanya, and I think that's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking the smart approach here. Some of these UFC fighters, I question what they plan on doing or what their game plan is coming into the fights, because we see them doing the exact opposite of what we expect them to do, and they end up losing because of it. I think this is another one of those situations. I've been around the block a little longer than you have, and I just believe that some of these fighters are they're too thick-headed to really take a look and say, you know what, this is what's going to work. I think Marvin Vettori is going to do some of that takedown stuff. I believe that Israel Adesanya has worked on his defense, knowing what Vettori is capable of, seeing what Jan Blachowicz can do. I mean, there's no better practice than going against Jan Blachowicz like he did in his last fight, for Marvin Vettori. I mean, that is exactly what you're going to be getting. So when you're talking about that, he saw it firsthand. He's been training for it. I believe his takedown defense is going to be much more improved, on top of the fact that he's going to keep this fight as on his feet as humanly possible. He is going to try to knock the hell out of Marvin Vettori. And I mean, there's a lot of bad blood between these two. Marvin Vettori thinks he should have won the first fight. Israel Adesanya calls it a joke, calls him a joke, and he calls his entire career a joke. So I think there's been a whole lot of things that have been said thus far. I'm really excited for this fight. I'm personally taking Israel Adesanya. I don't think he's going to lose 2 fights in a row, and that including the Jan Blachowicz fight. I believe that this man is too great. He is too powerful and too strong of a UFC fighter to essentially give up his title to somebody who, in my opinion, isn't worth it, is not a champion. And when I think about saying Marvin Vettori champion, it just does not feel right. It does not seem like it's going to happen. And at this point, I believe that Israel Adesanya is going to pull out everything in his repertoire to be able to beat Marvin Vettori and settle the score once and for all.
You may not think that Marvin Vettori is a champion, but he is in my eyes, because he is the more well-rounded fighter. He is able to handle himself on his feet. He's able to handle himself on the ground. That's not something Adesanya has proven to do. He has never landed a submission in his career. That is very foreign to him. And if you want to be a champion in today's UFC, in today's MMA, you need to be well-rounded in all areas to be successful. Otherwise, you're going to have holes that people are going to take advantage of, and it's going to show in this fight. Marvin Vettori will get the job done. He's going to prove that he is the man to beat in this division. This division is going to go through him for the foreseeable future. Before we saw Jan Blachowicz become the champion, no one thought that he was a champion, but we saw how well-rounded he is. He's an extremely good boxer. He's an extremely good wrestler, and he showed that against Israel Adesanya. Like I said, to me, Marvin Vettori is a smaller version of Jan Blachowicz. I think it's going to be a very similar result for Adesanya in this fight compared to his light heavyweight championship bout, and it's going to be Marvin Vettori with his hand raised and the belt around his waist at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at Marvin Vettori, just remember, Israel Adesanya is not Kevin Holland. Israel Adesanya knows exactly what he's going to be facing and has been training just for that. I look for Vettori to kind of do a 180 and try to beat him on his feet once again. I don't think he's going to come in trying to go to the ground. If he does, good for him. He learned. But I just don't believe he's learned that lesson yet. I don't believe most of these fighters come in with the correct game plan. And I continue that thinking here with Marvin Vettori. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments. That's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.